Tonight on CTV, we take a look at a brand new police force.
We'll dive deeper into the city's new broadband service.
So in that scenario, everybody wins. You get better infrastructure whether you're buying from Fort Collins, Comcast, or CenturyLink.
And provide an update on the potential grocery store union strike. All that and more starting now. Good evening, Rams. I'm Edgar Cedillo.
And I'm Matt Leesman.
Last week, offensive graffiti was found written on a stall in the men's bathroom of the Warner College of Natural Sciences. The graffiti read, "We must preserve European culture and values. Diversity is not the answer." The CSU Police Department was contacted after the report because the writing is considered graffiti. According to CSU, a bias incident is any speech, conduct, or expression motivated by bias or prejudice. Any member of the university community can make a report about a bias-related incident. If you believe you have experienced bias or have witnessed a bias incident firsthand, you can report it online.
Fort Collins is one of the first cities in the country to begin building its own city-run broadband network, and construction began last November. I spoke with the executive director of the network to find out more.
Mayor Wade Troxel, Mr. Mayor.
On Thursday, February 28th, the city of Fort Collins celebrated the groundbreaking ceremony of Fort Collins Connection, the new city-run broadband network. City officials, including Mayor Wade Troxel, spoke on the progress the city has made towards implementing the network.
It takes thousands of these fiber optics to make the cables that are currently being put in Fort Collins soil. In much the same way, Mayor Troxel says it took the entire community to get us from here to here.
But where exactly is here? Why does Fort Collins need a new broadband network when companies like Comcast and CenturyLink are already well established in town? Coleman Keene, executive director of Fort Collins Connection, says it's because the old networks aren't good enough.
So the other networks are all based on copper with some fiber backhaul built into them. This is going to take fiber all the way to the premise. And so that is the best network available today in the world.
The cables the city are putting down are the fastest in the world, and the only limiting factor is the electronics attached to them, which Keene says are relatively cheap to replace. However, the Fort Collins Chamber of Commerce argues the city shouldn't be running a broadband network and that technology companies can do a more effective job keeping the electronics updated. Keene says the city's actions have spurred tech companies into doing just that.
So if you look at Fort Collins today, CenturyLink and Comcast are upgrading their networks while Fort Collins is rolling out their fiber. So in that scenario, everybody wins. You get better infrastructure whether you're buying from Fort Collins, Comcast, or CenturyLink.
The network will provide more than just high-speed internet. Keene says the nearly instant-speed video communication the network can provide opens the door to countless applications, including increased medical coverage in rural communities.
When you get into rural communities, you may only have 2 doctors. Getting that specialist to be able to go in there and do real-time diagnostic type tools is going to really leverage getting that level of service into rural communities.
Construction on the network began in November and is expected to be complete by May 2022. However, the first services are expected to be available between July and December 2019.
To learn more about the network, you can visit fcgov.com/broadband. The Fort Collins Chamber of Commerce was unable to comment on the new network.
A new bill in the Colorado legislature is pushing to legalize selling produce, meat, and dairy products from land that is less than 3 acres. The bill is sponsored by Colorado Representative Jenny Arndt and was passed in the House last Friday. Farmers are still able to sell their products at farmers markets and locally sourced restaurants, although often involve taxes and vendor fees. For more information about the bill, you can visit leg.colorado.gov.
9 News reported Thursday night negotiations between King Soopers and the United Food and Commercial Workers were left unsettled. The scheduled meeting was to discuss a new contract for union workers across Colorado. Kim Cordova, the president of the union, said the company disrupted the meeting in the middle and left. She said the company was not bargaining in good faith. The union may decide to strike because of this disagreement. More than 12,000 workers who are a part of the UFCW are employed by King Soopers and City Market stores across Colorado.
The League of Women Voters of Lamar County hosted a city council forum last Sunday. 13 candidates running for mayor and council member positions attended the forum. Moderators prompted debate about U+2 housing policy. All the candidates agreed on energy efficiency, climate change, and water conservation were all important issues for the city of Fort Collins. Other topics discussed were economic growth and diversity. For more information on the topics discussed and who's running, you can visit collegian.com.
Fort Collins police received reports of an intruder just before 6 in the morning on Monday. The incident took place a block north of campus on South Sherwood Street. CSU students were alerted of the incident at about 8 a.m. Police say the suspect is a college-age man who was last seen wearing gray sweatpants and a green hoodie. At this point, Fort Collins police don't have any updates for the public, but remind everyone to lock their doors and remain vigilant. Anyone with information is asked to call Fort Collins police.
As more and more people move to Colorado, cities and towns have come to face challenges with the rapid growth. The town of Severance has found a need for a new police department.
Nearly 100 years after its establishment, the town of Severance in Weld County has experienced growing pains, prompting the need for its own police department. For years, the town was patrolled by Weld County sheriffs, but now they have their own patrol.
Instead of having the sheriff, the deputies come when they can for calls, and they're already thinly stretched just because of the large portion that they have to man.
The town's nearly 7,000 residents were ecstatic to hear about them getting a police department located within the town limits.
They have been extremely supportive. They absolutely love that they have a police department.
Both Severance and its police department are growing together and lean on each other for support.
We get to know the community on a more personal level and be able to work with the community and saying, what are some of the needs that you have, or some of the expectations that you have? What can we do to work together and become a partnership? We had a situation where we were pulling over someone and talking to them, and a car stopped just to ask, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?"
Police Chief Cedillo says establishing the police department wasn't the easiest task.
It's just pretty cool to be able to create your own team, create your own mission statement, your values, and everything, the direction in which you want to drive your ship.
With a total of 8 in the department, 6 of them are women, and Cedillo is one of only 5 female police chiefs in Colorado.
It saddens me to see that there's not a lot of women in law enforcement. And for me, I think that's a goal I would like to change. And so I'd love to be able to encourage more women to be a part of this career, because it's an incredible career.
As Severance and its police department continue to rapidly change, Cedillo will watch as the town and her department evolve and grow together.
But it has been absolutely incredible. Not too many people can say they've started their own police department. So for me, it's an honor. I look forward to seeing how it evolves in the next year, next 5, 10 years, and so forth, because I think there's so many neat opportunities that we have here and that we can do.
As more move in, this only means more exciting changes for this small town in Weld County.
Police Chief Cedillo hopes to hire a school resource officer in time for the opening of their new high school, and hopes that the department will continue to grow into the next year.
Students across the country will walk out of class this Friday to protest global inaction on climate change. Protesters are citing a 2018 report from the UN International Panel on Climate Change, which says we have just 11 years left to take action in order to avoid the worst effects of climate change. The movement, known as the Youth Climate Strike, also seeks to give a voice to marginalized communities, who they say are disproportionately affected by climate change. According to the strike's website, the students are acting because our world leaders are yet to acknowledge, prioritize, or properly address our climate crisis. We are now joined by Brooke Giffen and Taryn Seba, organizers in this movement. Thanks for coming onto the show.
Yeah, thank you.
If you want to tell me, how did you get involved with this movement?
So, I organized a walkout last year for school safety, and this year I was contacted by a student at Fossil Ridge High School, and he asked me if I would help him with this climate strike, and I told him that there was one happening internationally and that the 15th would be a great day to do it. And from there we kind of just went, and I contacted Taryn because she helped us with the walkout last year.
All right. And how have your parents reacted to this?
They support me.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom's going to be there. She's already making signs and everything, and so I think it's really invigorating seeing that students are obviously passionate about it, but we definitely want this to transcend to older generations as well, since this is an issue that'll really affect everyone.
Of course. And how would you respond to, I guess, accusations that students are too young to be getting involved with this sort of protesting?
I think that's completely false. I think that at this age is a great time to start getting involved and learn how to be engaged citizens.
Yeah, and I think, if anything, youth have to get involved. I'm only 17, and so I can't vote, and so we have to find other means to make our voices heard. And I think global warming and all of the issues with our environment, we're going to be the ones that are having to inherit and ultimately solve those issues. So it's important that we demand from our leaders that true change is made in the face of this adversity, and for our peers to rise up to the occasion as well.
All right, and what kind of change do you want to see happen as a result of this?
We want our government to implement more environmental policies. Right now, as the website has said, we haven't taken enough action, and now we only have 11 years before the worst issues happen.
Yeah, and I also think, or at least I hope, that a sense of efficacy is instilled in our peers so that they're not only active in this fight against climate change, but are continuously active for the rest of their lives in politics, and as well as leading sustainable lives. Even though this seems like a kind of vague and global issue, we're really trying to localize it here at this event. And so we have local legislators and leaders, local scientists, youth, of course, and we'll also be having petitions passed around so that true change can come from this. And so it's more than just a strike. It's really going to create true change, I think.
All right. And so how can people who aren't students and can't get involved with this walkout, how can they get involved with this movement?
Well, first of all, anyone is welcome to come to the rally. It's at Library Park at noon, and we encourage people to talk to their representatives, come to the rally, support the youth that are striking.
Yeah, and I think even just taking small steps in one's own life and realizing that that one disposable cup times 7 billion all ends up in our landfills and things like that. And so I think it's really important to have that introspection and to think, what can I do? Because even though these small acts may not seem like a lot, they really do add up.
Oh, they certainly do. Well, that's about all we have. Brooke, Taryn, thanks for coming onto the show, and we'll see you later during the weather segment, because Hannah Willis was going to be telling us everything we need to know about tomorrow's predicted snowstorm.
Listen, I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Good evening, and I'm Hannah Willis, your Tuesday night weather anchor. The current temperature outside is 48 degrees, and it is slightly cloudy outside as well. The wind is blowing at 5 miles per hour, and the sun's going down right about now at 7:03 due to Sunday's daylight savings time. A look back on the week shows that earlier today it was slightly cloudy with slight winds, but the skies cleared up later in the day. It was a little bit chilly around campus, but that didn't stop students from sitting outside and enjoying the day outside. The vegetation around campus is still a little bit dead, and the leaves have still not quite grown back on those trees outside. Going into tonight's lows, we see things along the I-25 corridor in the mid-30s to the low 40s down in Pueblo, Fort Collins reaching 35 degrees, and Burlington over here in the plains reaching 44. Over in Grand Junction, we see 38 degrees. Going into tomorrow's highs, things along the I-25 corridor are supposed to stay relatively constant from tonight's lows. Fort Collins reaching 38 degrees and Denver right here 40 degrees. Over in the east side, we see Burlington reaching a 45, and over on the west side, Grand Junction will reach 40 degrees. Going into our 5-day forecast, we see that tomorrow we have chances of snow. There's a 100% chance of precipitation with snow accumulations from 3 to 5 inches. And then going into the weekend, it's supposed to get more sunny, and we've got temperatures in the high 45s.
So Hannah, like I'm sure many other CSU students, I've been very interested in the upcoming snowstorm to see if we're going to be having a snow day tomorrow. So I actually did some research into the different factors that CSU Public Safety looks at in order to decide whether or not to make a snow day. The first one being that whether or not local school districts have closed, which, as we just recently found out, Fort Collins schools are going to be closed tomorrow, so I bet you two are quite excited about that.
Yeah, we're really excited, and hopefully it'll clear up enough so that by Friday, then it'll be nice and sunny out, and so that shouldn't stop our climate strike from 12 to 2 at Library Park. So we hope to see you all there.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Hannah, it should be cleared up by then, right?
Yeah, it should be cleared up by then. We do see tomorrow, though, gusts reaching up to 60 miles per hour and 100% chance of precipitation. The Front Range Community College has also had classes canceled, as well as UNC. And actually, Matt Mankins, a meteorologist, just talked about the fact that pressure from the storm system is expected to be to the equivalent low of that of a Category 2 hurricane, which is pretty crazy out there. Hope we don't blow away.
Yeah, I've got a midterm tomorrow, so fingers crossed that classes get canceled.
Fingers crossed.
All right. We'll be right back after the break for Tara and Jessica with sports.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
Welcome back from the break, Rams, into another week of the JT Double Take. I'm Tara Barrio.
And I'm Jessica Mendoza. Tara, the CSU football team has their annual Green and Gold game this Thursday, and we've been following the team in the offseason. So what exactly are you expecting to see?
Well, the weather is definitely going to play an effect in it. I mean, Hannah was saying we're supposed to pretty much be expecting a blizzard tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the team may be being moved into indoors. But, you know, what's been a huge controversy for the CSU football team has been the quarterback situation. And now we have a transfer from Nebraska, Patrick O'Brien. So I'm excited to see not only who's going to start, but how it's going to work for the rest of the spring season and for the fall season. I mean, Colin Hill coming off an ACL injury, so it will be definitely interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Colin Hill definitely has the upper hand here, but as you said, he is injured. It will be interesting to see how they work together in this scrimmage and how they match up. But I definitely think that on the defensive side, we're going to want to see their defense make some tackles, as that was a huge struggle for this team last season. So there's a lot of things I think people are going to be wanting to see in this scrimmage, so it's definitely going to be a good look into the season.
And definitely, it's going to be really fun to see who's going to step up in leadership. Izzy Matthews played a huge key leadership role last year, so it's going to be definitely fun to see if someone can step up in his role and take action for the football team.
Yeah, absolutely. And Preston Williams will be gone, OBC Johnson. So yeah, I definitely think it'll be interesting to see who steps up.
Awesome. Well, Jessica, Jared Stratton will bring all the updates on the spring game on this Thursday show, so stay tuned for those updates. Looking at the track and field team based on performances from this past weekend, Colorado State's senior Kelsey Bedard and Mary Beth Sant and sophomore Taryn Sig have all qualified for the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championship Invitational in Birmingham, Alabama. Sieg placed 12th place in the women's shot put with a mark of 53, which was the best of any CSU athlete in that event since 2005. Sant clocked a time at 7.42 in the women's 60-meter sprint to place 13th overall with her performances. Sant becomes CSU's first ever indoor All-American of any level of distinction in women's sprints. Each Mary Beth Sant and Taryn Sieg earned their first career All-American honors in the individual events. Senior Kelsey Bedard finished with a best effort of 65 to place in 13th overall. The Colorado native is now a two-time second All-American performer heading into her final outdoor season. This weekend, the three athletes will be heading down to Birmingham, Alabama for the championship invitational. Sant will compete the 6th seed in the women's 60-meter sprint, while Bedard ranks as the number 7 seed in the weight throw. And Sieg will be getting shot put, coming in as a number 11 seed.
Tomorrow afternoon, the Colorado State men's basketball team will be taking on the Boise State Broncos for the 3rd time this season. This game will be the Mountain West men's basketball tournament opener, tipping off at noon in the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas. Now these teams are currently split, each losing on their home court during the regular season. Chris Martin has proven to be a staple for CSU against Boise State, scoring 13 points in each of the matchups. And of course, first-team All-Mountain West center Nico Carvacho tallied 30 points and 31 rebounds in the 2 games combined. But the biggest threat to the Rams is the dangerous duo in Justinian Jessup and Alex Hobbs. The Rams defense has struggled to contain Jessup, who scored his career-high 25 points in Boise. The Broncos are known to play at a fast pace and on offense and stick to zone defense, and they play it well. Another telling factor that we have seen so far this season shows that the team who is able to be consistent from 3 is likely to be the team on top at the final buzzer. In Boise State's loss, they could not execute behind the arc, only sinking 5 of 27 attempts. And in Fort Collins, when CSU lost, they only shot 7 of 25 from deep. Head coach Nico Medved is going to want to see his team keep it simple on offense, limit silly turnovers, and match Boise State's scoring to minimize its droughts and keep them from going on those big runs. Last season, Colorado State did get knocked out in the first round of the tournament to Utah State, and that same Utah State team also eliminated number 2 ranked Boise State in the very next round. However, this Rams team is ranked 2 spots higher this year, and they did hand Boise State their first loss to CSU in their home gym since 1991 earlier this season. By passing a large milestone like that, this team may be capable of more than some are expecting this week. The Broncos are currently hold a 12-11 all-time record against the Rams. So make sure to stay tuned to see if CSU can tie up the series and move on to play the Nevada Wolfpack in the quarterfinals on Thursday.
Well, Jessica, it's that time of the week for this week's Disrupted Picks. This week we had a huge controversy submission about Antonio Brown being traded from the Steelers to the Raiders. So, Jessica, what's your take on it?
Yeah, so first I want to thank Mamadou Balde for the submission today. We always really appreciate getting the submissions on social media. But so far this free agency period has been insane. In all sports so far this year, free agency has been crazy. But there was a lot of talk about Antonio Brown going to the Bills. He is now with the Raiders. And Tara, before we talk about how we feel about how he's going to fit in with the Raiders, how do you feel that Antonio Brown really handled this free agency?
I mean, I'm just going to kind of throw back when Richard Sherman got traded from the Seahawks to the 49ers and how he treated his team and how he practically dragged the Seahawks to the dirt as well on social media, and Antonio Brown did the same thing. And I get it, maybe Antonio Brown has his side of it, but I think personally, you don't drag your team, no matter what the circumstances are, through social media like that. And so I think that he handled this trade very poorly, and he thinks that this is a good decision for him, but I just think the way he handled the situation and made it so public for everyone to almost have an opinion about it is what really put him in the dirt, I believe.
Yeah, and I can totally see that side. I definitely think there was better ways that he could handle this, but I can also say that we never really know what's going on in the team. With the Steelers, we never really know what's going on behind the scenes. It sounded like his relationship with Ben Roethlisberger was very poor. He had that kind of owner mentality, and Brown being one of the best receivers in the league, I can see why you wouldn't want to take that well. He wasn't getting as many reps and touches as he would have wanted and as much as he probably deserved, being such great talent. He's really a beast on that field, so I think he deserved better. That's why I'm going to go ahead and say I like this trade. I like that he's going to be with the Raiders. I think that he's going to work really well with Derek Carr. He's going to have to switch it up a little bit. I think things are going to be pretty different over there, but he's going to be their top receiver, and I think he's just going to really enjoy his time there. I think it's going to look good for them.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I believe it's a really good trade for the Raiders. I just don't think it's a good trade for Antonio Brown in general, just considering he is looking for those touches, and based on Derek Carr's season last year, he started at 8.2 yards in 2017 and then dropped to 6.9 in 2018. So he's always had a good short game, but Antonio Brown is really good at his deep game. So we'll see if that will touch base, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to see for this upcoming season.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more there. And we can't forget to talk about the Steelers, their side of this whole trade. They traded him for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. That blows my mind. He's one of the best receivers in this league, and that's all the Steelers got for him. But that's just how it works when, you know, these things really go poorly, and it was a bad situation there for them. But Ram fans, that is all we have for you this week. But to stay updated on sports, make sure to follow us on Twitter at CTV_sports. Thank you for tuning in to CTV. I'm Jessica Mendoza.
And I'm Tara Barrow. But don't go anywhere, fans, because up next is Justin with entertainment.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back from the break. I'm your unofficial film critic, Justin Rios, back again to help you through this week's entertainment news. There seems to be an endless supply of Disney movies to go around each year, almost as if when one spawns, 10 more show up. And I'm not gonna lie, it's getting pretty boring watching the same movie retold a handful of times. Luckily, there's a movie-going experience that's a bit closer to home than your local Cinemark.
Boulder visited Fort Collins this past weekend with the 5th Fort Collins Film Festival. For the first time in FOCO history, the Boulder International Film Festival arrived in our small, humble abode to showcase music and films from around the world.
They've been doing some showings in Longmont, and they were excited to try to bring something to Fort Collins.
While not the traditional Cinemark movie experience, the Boulder International Film Festival hoped to bring some local flair and enjoyment to the silver screen.
We decided to pick out the ones that we thought might have particular interest here.
There are ones about organic farming and a lot of their award-winning movies, some that are nominated for Academy Awards.
We're closing the festival with a film called A Tuba to Cuba,
making its 15-year debut at the Lincoln Center.
The concept of film to make you think is wonderful. I think it also inspires and it enlightens. It can also entertain, and you want that as well.
Movie popcorn tends to come with that traditional theater experience, but some moviegoers welcome the change in presentation.
As sort of a counter to like this huge blockbuster Hollywood movie that we see in theaters all the time.
Film stimulates us to create and think about things outside of the box, with or without that buttery popped corn deliciousness.
This year, BIF received 1,500 film submissions to choose from. With more than 25,000 film enthusiasts, one can only hope that BIF continues its venture to Fort Collins in the future. Fort Collins may have kicked the St. Paddy's Day parade to the curb this year, but that doesn't mean we can't click our heels and drink beer in celebration. Well, maybe not at the same time. Downtown Fort Collins is getting its green on with the Oak Street Shamrock Festival going down this Saturday, March 16th. Free and open to the public, this FOCO-style celebration of Irish heritage brings live performance and hands-on activities to you from 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. Hopefully, the luck of the Irish helps CSU students survive their last week before spring break. Now, I don't claim to be the best film critic around, but I like to think I'm at least somewhat competent when it comes to reviewing anything Marvel-related. Coming all the way from space, Captain Marvel made her landing to theaters this past weekend, only with a few hitches. Just a few. Captain Marvel is an extraterrestrial Kree warrior caught in the middle of an intergalactic battle, while having recurring memories of a past life on Earth. Captain Marvel had a lot to prove to viewers who doubted a female-led superhero movie could succeed, and after leaving the theater, I thoroughly enjoyed my intergalactic experience. However, that doesn't save the film from some criticism. A number of action scenes were compiled with jump cuts and shaky camera work, so it was really hard to appreciate Captain Marvel's true prowess when the shots were hardly putting them on display. As a Phase 1 origin story, Captain Marvel succeeds in presenting an honest backstory with outstanding chemistry from Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson that won't be forgotten. Rap and activism have often gone hand in hand, but Aisha Fukushima is one to take it to the next level. Raptivism is coming to CSU with Ram Events presents Aisha Fukushima, a multiracial African-American Japanese raptivist combining hip-hop with speech and to educate, empower, and bring awareness to feminist and cultural activism. Tap into your roots tomorrow, March 13th, from 5:30 to 6:30 in the evening in the Laurie Student Center. Certainly, Kanye could learn a few things from raptivism from Miss Fukushima. Well, moviegoers, it's been a pleasure. From all of us here in the studio, thank you for tuning in to CTV. Tomorrow is Ram Life Events, same time, same channel, with the people you know. By the end of this newscast, it will probably be snowing, and let's cross our fingers for a snow day. Stay warm and good night.